See that empty spot? Ignore it. Hey there, kiddos, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, hoping that you are having a great day. And in today's video, I'm going to be sitting back in my very squeaky chair, relaxing and having a little conversation with all of you guys about nothing specifically. In this video, I'm going over a list of small talking points, words of wisdom that I think are worth sharing with you guys, worth discussing, but I don't think warrant their own full video. So I suppose this video is all about Uncle's advice for a variety of things in the casual hobbyist world. And these are in no particular order. These are just things that I jotted down throughout my day that I was thinking about talking with you guys about at some point. And then the longer I went about with this list, the more I realized, crap, none of these are like their own video topic, I think. So let's go ahead and just go down the list with frog tape. I kid you not. So if you've, I don't know, I don't really show like a lot of the different angles here in the garage a whole lot, but I do hang posters and display items up on the wall. And for a lot of people, they are content with just using thumbtacks or regular old Scotch tape to put their posters up on the walls, and that's totally fine. But if you want to either A, avoid risking any damage to your walls if they're painted, or B, don't want to destroy your posters for one reason or another, and that's totally fine. You know, some posters are really nice, you'd like to keep them long term. I highly recommend that you use frog tape, aka painter's tape. It comes in big rolls of blue and or green, and you can get like a huge roll of this stuff for like $8, and it lasts forever. I think I got that roll like 4 years ago, for instance. And it's not the most super sticky tape, and that is intentional. That way it doesn't risk damaging any paint you put it over top. But because it doesn't damage the paint, it also won't damage your posters. Apply a few rolls of that to the back of, like a little roll to the back of the posters, slap them up on the wall, and they're good for quite a while. A lot of these posters I've put up in here have been up since I moved into this location, and they haven't come down yet. So that's pretty good. And that's just my first little piece of advice. So next up is on to the binder discussion. A lot of people have a lot of binders for their collection. Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, trading card binders in general. And I see that a lot of people, especially if they have like a huge collection, they like to put their binders on a bookshelf vertically. They line them up like they're books, and they just let their collection sit like that. My piece of advice there is to not do that. Instead, store your binders flat, horizontally. Just let them sit there, because, you know, especially if your binders have more and more cards in them, the weight adds up. Those pages slant, and those cards end up getting squished against either the shelf or the inside of the binder. And over time, especially if they are already in like a more humid environment, those cards do warp with time. It's more prevalent, I think, with like older sports cards binders and older trading card binders in general. Like I will see from time to time, like an old Yu-Gi-Oh binder will come occasionally, and like the cards on the bottom row of the page will be horribly warped just from sitting in one place for years on end. Now, this isn't a universal thing. Again, it depends on the overall conditions of how they're stored, not just one specific way that the binder is held, but it is a thing that does happen, and I just want to put that out there. So, you know, there's that. And then let's move into a completely different topic. These are all kind of random, I promise you guys. So when it comes to being a fan of anything, TCGs, video games, anime, movies, cartoons, live action shows, whatever it is, when it comes to enjoying a franchise, an IP, a thing, I firmly believe that you should engage in good discussions with fans. Ideally fans that you know, and that you should avoid fandoms like the plague. Insofar as I'm concerned, a lot of fan communities really suck. Like, they really suck hard. They are A lot of the most toxic people you'll meet in any online group are going to be supposed fans of something that you enjoy. It doesn't matter what it is, you know. If you are a diehard, true blue lover of given thing, whether it be Dragon Ball Z or Magic the Gathering or Pokemon or Cubics, Robots for Everyone. Do you remember that cartoon? I do, for 3 seconds just now as I'm having this conversation. Um, a lot of the so-called fandom communities tend to really suck, especially on Reddit. And that place does have a negative, uh, like a negative stereotype attached to it for a reason. A lot of the people there, not just there, but there and elsewhere on social media in general, tend to be some of the most negative, vitriolic people I've ever engaged with. And it's part of why a lot of people advertise you stay away from Reddit. In my experience, there are two worst kinds of fans, two very different kinds of fans. One is the super elitist snob. You've seen them before, you've seen the jokes made about them. They're the kind who go, oh, you're a fan of this thing? Well, then name 47 X things associated with the thing. That joke is very easy to make because there are a lot of people out there who are genuinely like that. They are extremely stuck up, extremely snobbish, who like to flaunt their own superior knowledge or experience with a given franchise over everyone else. And they will happily talk down to you for not liking a given cartoon or movie the right way. You don't know the right facts. You don't know the names of the actors or the director of the film. You don't know the name of the characters, right? Actually, fun fact, part of why I stopped interacting with the fandom Wikia thing forever ago, I actually received death threats over Naruto. Like, now, this was like 15 something years ago, but I received death threats because I used like the English name of something vaguely related to Naruto. It was like an attack name or something in an online discussion. And I got like 2 or 3 guys who were like, yo man, we're going to find you. We're going to fucking scalp you for that. I was like, people can be extremely heated when it comes to the things that they enjoy, and they will just say some of the most off the wall, unhinged things, like we're going to hunt you down and scalp you for using the wrong phrase when it comes to Naruto. I wonder how Naruto's doing. I wonder how Bort's doing, because that's the name of the series now, right? It's called Bort. The other kind of awful fan are the fans, huge air quotes with this one, the fans who want to change everything about a series in order to accommodate their likes and dislikes. These are the kind of people who want to change what a series is to be something that it isn't. They will claim to be a diehard fan of a given show or a game or an anime. This is really prevalent in the anime fandom, I've noticed, more often recently than not. These kind of people will come along, they will try to change a character's personality or their identity or the plot. They'll try to say that one thing happened or one thing should have happened or all kinds of crap. This really happened really badly to Ruby was the name of it, where a bunch of fans on, I think it was Twitter, got really uppity and started like dictating how the series should go. It was really crazy. But it does happen a lot with other things too, not just anime and cartoons and such, but it does happen with like video games. And these are just the kind of people who are, I don't want to call them like culture vultures, but they are the kind of parasites who will ostensibly be in a fandom just to push their own ideologies, their own beliefs and such onto other actual fans of a thing, and will piss and shit and moan and cry about how things aren't fair and how things are offensive or whatever until the thing that they profess to like changes to fit them, and then the moment the change happens, they will move on to something else because they aren't obviously fans of a thing if they were advocating so violently for that thing to change. But in general, just avoiding fandoms can be a great experience, because if your primary experience with something has nothing to do with the wider anonymous waves of people online that you honestly don't have to have any kind of interaction with whatsoever, instead it's local, it's with people you've come to have a relationship with, you know them, you talk to them, etc. I believe that cultivating an actual fandom fan of engagement, again, with like-minded individuals, can be very rewarding, you know. Not just from the human contact thing, but also just in general. You know, you can make some lifelong friends out of people you've met who just happen to like Bleach or Cubics, Robots for Everyone. You should watch Cubics, Robots for Everyone. You know, meeting some people online who like something the same way you do and having a genuine, heartfelt conversation with them about it, it can work out really well. And I'd like to say that it can work out offline as well, but very few people I know are gonna, you know, go down to the local library and, you know, strike up a conversation with a stranger about Cubics, Robots for Everyone. I'm going to watch that series after this video is over. I promise. I'm going to download that and watch the fuck out of it. Or maybe buy a DVD. I don't know. I haven't watched that series in like a bazillion years. It's old as hell. Anyone seen Reboot? That also just popped into my mind. I should watch Reboot again. I'm getting off track. Next thing on the itinerary. Don't compare your collection or your accomplishments to someone else's collection and their amassment of wealth. I think like this one should be a no-brainer, but it is still something that happens a lot, sometimes subconsciously with people, and it definitely happens more and more often as we get more and more parasocial with how we engage with the various collectibles and games that we enjoy. You know, it's very easy for someone to get up on camera and share with everybody else on the line because anybody can see these things. It's very easy for someone to get up on camera and showcase the things that they have, the things that they've collected painstakingly over years, and to be very proud of what they've got. As a result of that, it's also very easy for potentially infinite number of people to see what someone else has acquired and go, damn, why is my thing not like that? Why is my binder not as shiny? Why is my deck not as blinged out? Etc. Kind of ignoring the accomplishments they've made along the way. And this can cycle into another point, and that is you should be proud of your accomplishments, big or small. You know, when I finished my Fallen Empires full collection, I have a play set of every card in Fallen Empires in quadruple because I like the set. I like the lore. I like the basic mechanics, although I don't like the gameplay of it. It's a good set in my opinion. An awful set, but a good set. One of the responses I received from someone online was, well, that set's garbage. It's not worth much. Not much of a collection. And in theory, they're right. It's not a great set. It's not worth much. But I was still proud of what I had accomplished because, hey, that's a cool set. I like it. And it doesn't have to be a bazillion trillion dollars for a full set and a binder just to get some satisfaction out of assembling the cards. You should be proud of what you've accomplished. You should be proud of the collection that you've cultivated. And you shouldn't be comparing yourself to others. And inversely, you shouldn't be talking down to others because their collection isn't as great as yours. If you go around flaunting your wealth and flaunting your assemblage of cardboard, you're kind of a dick. And not even like a successful dick. You know, I don't care how big your portfolio of cardboard is. At the end of the day, you are flaunting cardboard wealth just to be a prat. So keep that in mind as well. You know, be proud of what you've got, but don't be a dick about it, is what I'm trying to say in that point there. The next point is more of it's not financial advice, but it is heartfelt, an opinion of mine that you should not go into debt for your collection or in general. Obviously, in life in general, I believe you should avoid debt. But maxing out a credit card so you can buy up some shiny pieces of cardboard for your binder is just a bad idea in general. You know, you're going to end up having some shiny pieces of cardboard that you won't even be able to hold on to because that debt needs to be paid. And if you've maxed out a credit card to fill your binder up with some SIRs from Pokemon or overframes from Yu-Gi-Oh! Or the hell does Magic have that people want these days? Basic lands? Something like that? I don't know. Not a lot of collectibles in Magic these days. I'm messing with you. I know what the people want. They want Guilds of Ravnica Shocklands. Yeah. Loud truck zipping by. Slowly. Very loud truck zipping by. But at the end of the day, if you go into debt to acquire the cardboard you like, you won't be able to keep it because guess what? That debt comes calling. You have to pay it off sometimes with interest, sometimes with a lot of interest, and you end up losing what you've amassed, what you've assembled. And this, of course, applies to life in general. I believe that if at all possible, you should avoid debt because, insofar as I'm concerned, debt is slavery. When you are paying off debt, all the work that you're doing is going directly into someone else's coffers for what is more often than not a temporary benefit. Now, again, I said if at all possible because sometimes debt is necessary if you need to, for instance, cover a medical bill or get housing, or you need a new car for a job and you've been driving the same crap tanker for 16 years now and you really need it replaced. Obviously debt, in my opinion, is bad. It's not entirely avoidable because that's the world we live in. But whenever possible, you should be trying to avoid it. That's just my heartfelt belief. And of course, if you want to ignore that, go right ahead. I can't be telling you how to spend your time and money in life, but me think debt bad. That's the point there. The next thing I wrote down here: get a physical hobby. Get one singular physical hobby, at least one hobby. If you're spending time learning the codexes of Space Marines so that your army can be hyper optimized, whenever you go to your 6-hour Saturday game sesh at the local Warhammer store and you've spending hundreds of hours assembling and painting and learning all the ins and outs of the rules and all that jazz, you can spend some time doing a push-up. I do push-ups almost daily at this point. It's one of the last things I do before I go to sleep, and it's a hobby. It's barely a hobby, but it's still a hobby. But I recommend you get one physical activity that you commit to. Jogging, exercise of some kind. Exercise of some point is almost what I said. Why did I almost say some point? Your uncle might be stupid. Have we covered that yet? Uncle Frank might be a bit of a dummy. Some kind of physical activity to keep your body enervated. It's very easy also, I think, if you are obviously some kind of physical activities complement other kinds of intellectual hobbies as well. But like if you're a huge fan of audiobooks, then jogging is a good hobby to pair with your audiobook enjoyment, because obviously your legs are occupied but your hands are free and your headphones are just going full blast with, I don't know, your Harry Potter Twilight fan fiction. That's what the goth kids are into these days, right? Draco wearing leather pants. I wouldn't know. I don't read Harry Potter x Twilight fan fiction. That was a serious statement. Moving on to, I think... so let's make this the final one for the day. And this comes to collecting as well. Don't get rid of things if you don't have to. And by that I mean, when you are, especially if you're younger, when you're going through your hobby phase and growing, you fall in love with a card game or a video game or something like that. You build up a decent collection, maybe even a substantial collection. Hundreds of thousands of dollars can be amassed. And for whatever reason, the 2-year wall hits you and you find yourself no longer enjoying the thing you enjoyed. And you decide to move on with your life, play another game, or dedicate more time to school, or maybe you get married and you want to drop your card game collection to start a life with your loving wife, and then you can have 14 kids and make your uncle proud, right? That's fine. I will, in my opinion, generally think that change is good for anyone in life. However, don't be so eager to get rid of the collection you've amassed, especially if it's something that's meant something to you at some point in your collection journey. And by that I mean, if you put all of your cards on a table, and if any of them meant something to you in the past, like it really took you a lot of effort to get this oddish. This oddish was like this was your chase rare from 151. If this was your chase card, this isn't even a rare, this is a common. If this was your chase card from 151, and you went through packs and packs and packs to get this card, and you finally pulled it and you were super excited and you sent it off to get graded and it came back a PSA 9, sure, but it's your PSA 9. You know, don't be over eager to get rid of things like that when you are done being a fan of a game in particular, because, you know, 5 years down the road, or 2 years down the road, or 1 year down the road, you may find yourself regretting getting out of that game. You may find yourself looking back and going, man, I got some more free time on my hands. I sure would love to pick up my PSA 9 Otters from 151 and admire it. But it's gone now. You sold it or you traded it off for something. You moved on with your life and you didn't think you were going to look back. And then more often than not, you do look back. And now I'm not saying that you shouldn't sell off your cards or anything whenever you want to move on in life. I think, in fact, one of the benefits of collecting cardboard is the fact that when you're done enjoying it, you can most likely sell it off to someone else. It happens all the time, in fact. However, what I am saying is the core of your collection, the stuff that meant the most to you in the moment when you were building your collection, playing the game, enjoying the hobby, I think you should look at the core of your collection as the kind of thing you should hold on to a bit more and hold out on. You know, put it in a box, put it in a closet, forget about it for a year or two and revisit it. You know, do you really want to sell that? Give you guys a good example. When I got out of Yu-Gi-Oh, when I got out of Yu-Gi-Oh the first time, first off, I sold most of my collection. I sold 3 binders and then a big box of miscellaneous old Yu-Gi-Oh crap. And this was back in like 2014, 2015, 2016, something like that. After I had the store, right? Something like that. I was done with Yu-Gi-Oh. But I held on to a deck for a bit. And I held on to the deck. It was a Lightsworn deck that had some really cool stuff in it, including the Ultimate Rare Judgment Dragon. I had 2 of those. Cool card at the time. But I held on to that deck because even though I was done playing Yu-Gi-Oh, I still attended bigger events with friends, and I still wanted to have a deck when I attended those events, and I didn't want to borrow someone else's. Fast forward about a year or so, and I had not gone to an event in 6 months, and I told myself, well, I'm not going to events. Why am I holding on to this thing? So I ended up selling that Lightsworn deck off. Twilight Sworn deck, because I think I was using Sky Scourges in it at the time. It's been a while. So anyway, I sold the deck off. Fast forward just a few short years, and man, do I wish I had not sold that deck. Or the collection in general, but that deck itself meant a lot to me. I had assembled it slowly and painfully over a year or so. That was one of the highlights of my Yu-Gi-Oh collection, I think, was that really shiny maxed rarity deck for the time. It was a lot of cool stuff. And nowadays, I have a sliver deck that I've assembled very slowly for Magic the Gathering. I've got a nice Mechanologist collection that I've assembled for Flesh and Blood. I still think it's very possible that at some point in the near future, I may end up getting out of Magic entirely and selling off a lot of the cards, or at least throwing them into my inventory. A lot of cards that I otherwise wouldn't have considered getting rid of if I was still actively playing the game. But that sliver deck is not going anywhere if I decide to get out of Magic, because a lot of effort went into it, a lot of love and care and compassion went into it. I got a lot of fond memories of it, so I'm not going to get rid of that anytime soon. And I urge you, if you are thinking about getting out of a TCG for whatever reason, totally valid reason, maybe you just need the money. And if you need the money, if you need the money, obviously you need to pay a medical bill, you need to cover your house bills. Weigh it. Is cardboard worth more than your house? It's not a question you should be asking, by the way. You should know the answer to that intrinsically. Look at me. You know the answer to that one intrinsically, okay? But if you can avoid it, if you can help avoiding it, avoid helping it? No. How's that said? Your uncle's not very smart. The point is, if you can avoid it, hold on to the core of your collection and don't get rid of it unless you really, truly have lost the love. And in my experience, actually falling out of love for something for good doesn't last as long as you think. So, both for myself and others who have gone through the same thing, you will look back in just a few short years and go, damn, I wish I had held on to that thing. So, there you kids go. That was a list of topics that I wanted to cover today. Like I said, as I was writing them down the first time, I was like, these could all make great videos in the future. But then I looked at the list and I was like, none of these are great video topics. And now there is a train blaring in the background, so I'm going to end it there. Thank you guys very much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. All that great stuff helps the algorithm out, and the algorithm helps me out. Check out the Discord, the Patreon, the TCG player link below. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.